Meeting to order where we can get started. Welcome everybody to our meeting this morning for Tuesday, January 28th. We'd like to start with our invocation from Ms. Sheila McCoy from the Palatka Christian Service Center. Please stand if you can.
Good morning. All hearts reverenced. Holy One, we come in the name of your Son to lift these men and women up to you who are responsible for our county government. First, we thank you for their willingness to serve in this capacity. We ask you to lead, guide, and direct their paths to do what is pleasing in your sight. Be with them as they work together to make our community better. Amen.
Amen. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. McCoy, and thank you, Commissioner Harvey. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of all the minutes listed in our packet.
Okay, I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. We're going to change the agenda up a little bit this morning. Some of the people that we were going to give recognition to had a late call on their ambulance, so we're going to give them time to hopefully get here and receive their recognition. With that, I'm going to move straight into presentations, and I'm also going to make a change after the presentations to where, because we don't usually allow public comment on a specific agenda item, I'm going to move the resolution declaring the Second Amendment after public comment, where everybody will have the ability to talk on it if they would like. And so that's what we're planning on doing this morning. Our first presentation will be the Putnam County Extension Office Master Gardener presentation and budget resolution.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Julio Perez. I am the extension agent for horticulture at Putnam County. I just recently was hired back in August, and I think I met some of you at our Christmas party. I have the pleasure of introducing two of my Master Gardener volunteers who will be doing the presentation of the check, Robert Anderson and Marjorie Harris.
Thank you, gentlemen. As Master Gardeners, we work to educate our populace and the 9 Florida-friendly principles which go to improve and beautify our county and to keep it environmentally safe. We answer questions that people have about their gardens, about their plants, about their trees, about their lawns. And we have a need. We need a storage shed at our Ag Center. The one we have now is in very poor shape, and we cannot secure it properly. We need a place to keep our tools, our fertilizer, the chemicals that need to be kept in a safe and secure place. So for the last 3 years, we have been setting aside funds from our plant sale that we held each year in the month of April. And with that in mind, we have a check here that we would like to present for $2,800 to go into the extension budget to improve county facilities, and ask your help in securing of a new shed. Excellent. That's it.
All right. Well, thank you for coming today, and you can give the check to
No, over there.
to Susan Frank.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion.
Now, Mr. Chairman, did he say 2,800?
Yeah, he said 28.
Isn't it 23 in the packet?
Our packet says 23.
Packet says
but
23. Do we need to change that?
We had a certified check made, and the person made it out to a little bit too much. So the check is actually written for $2,800 as a mistake, but yes, and we would like to go ahead and get that presented
Mr. Chairman, I
instead
have
of
a
the
question.
$2,300.
Mr.
So
Harvey?
yes, a change.
Okay, so it was a mistake to give 28 and you're looking for 500 back, or are you going to
No,
give
no, we're just going to put it all into the. Into
all of
our
it into the
facility.
shed fund?
Excellent.
Okay, good. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the private grant from the Putnam County Master Gardeners, pass a resolution authorizing the budget amendment of $2,800 for the replacement shed.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it, motion carries.
Thank you.
Have you priced the shed yet on what it's gonna cost?
Yeah, all that detail, we did go through that. We presented that to be presented. Sharon will.
I was just gonna suggest to staff that we put this on the next workshop and discuss it and see if we can get there for them.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Turner. Yes, we did get just a general idea of what the shed would cost. And then, of course, we will work through our purchasing policy because in discussing it with county administration, it was determined that rather than since this is going to be on a county facility, then we would work, the county would own the shed, even though the Master Gardeners have donated the money. So yes, we will go through all, work with Ms. Young and go through all the proper procedures to get the shed. The additional money will go in the extension budget, and we'll be able to use that for many Master Gardener projects between now and September. So we apologize for the mistake in the discrepancy, but it won't be an issue. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Ms. Trainie.
Thank you, Sharon.
Congratulations.
Thank you for coming today. Our next presentation will be from Cheryl Lynch, the Small Business Development Center of North Florida, University of North Florida.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
There's some seats down front if people would like to come to that side.
Excuse me a second, Cheryl, please. Any of you guys that are standing that would like seats, there's some seats in this area over in here. Okay, Cheryl.
Thank you. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for
Morning.
your time this morning.
Good morning.
Last quarter of last year report is in front of you, and to encapsulate all of 2019, what's transpired. Just an update, Matt has assisted David Dinkins and myself with submitting the grant for the Florida Jobs Grant Growth Fund for the Food Innovation Center. We haven't heard anything yet, and when I checked last night, we weren't archived, so I guess no news is good news so far. We've also had discussion with Phil Leary from the USDA and a lot of his staff as to next steps, should we get awarded that funding, which grants with USDA and with EDA we should go for next for the matching to be able to get the Food Innovation Center off the ground. Our survey has gone out. The second round went out last week. I think the final round will go out next Tuesday to anybody that's received an hour or more of assistance from the SBDC. We're hoping that the response rate is in the 20 to 30% like it has been. So hopefully next quarter results, you'll see the information for sales increases because that's when we actually capture that data directly from the clients. So we should get that information, and then any other data that was missed along the way will be captured there as well. Here to answer any questions, should you have any.
Any questions? Yes.
Can you give us a brief last 12 months, what kind of small business lending you guys have been able to help secure?
A bunch, and there's a bunch in the works right now. I've got a $5 million deal in the works that should take about another 4 months. I have another $1.2 million deal in the works that should take, I guess, another week for us to find out if it's been secured. And then there's another one for another $750,000. So lending has really improved the opportunity. SBA is very slow. They're running anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks behind to research the project and give feedback. So that's part of the delay of what's transpiring of not being able to turn it quicker, but we're at their mercy, so.
Do we have, don't we have Maris, are they not a participant in the 7A program?
There are a bunch of lenders in the area that are 7A and 504 participants, so there is opportunity, and I believe they are participating in getting loans through 7A for the SBA as well.
I just want to say thank you to you and everything you do, because I know what you do in the county. So congratulations on what you're doing, and keep it up.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll see you next quarter.
Next on our presentation list is the countywide projects update. I requested that we start getting updates on where we are on different projects around the county, and we're gonna do it probably bi-monthly or quarterly unless the commission wants it even more often. So I asked Ms. Young to prepare a brief on where we were. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm here to provide a snapshot update on numerous projects countywide this morning. We intend to bring this project summary to you on a routine basis. This
Julie.
list is not intended to be an all-inclusive list of every project or initiative underway by county departments. It is intended to give you the Cliff Notes version of project statuses for which have the most significant impact or are of most concerns to our citizens, commissioner, and/or administration. If you'd like additional details about a particular project, or if you'd like to see a particular project on this list, be sure to email me and I'll take care of it. With that, this morning, the first project I'll give you an update on is from the administration, the strategic plan. The report from the two-day planning workshop has been disseminated. The mission, vision, and value statements have been established. Next steps will focus on gathering information from employees. An employee survey will be completed, analyzed, and reviewed prior to holding the final staff day of workshop to operationalize the plan. Sorry. In the libraries, the Melrose Library expansion is moving forward. The MLA, in partnership with the county, is moving forward to design a new roof and an expansion of that Melrose Library. The bid documents for construction are expected to be ready in June of this year, and construction should be a short timeline, so that's approaching quickly. Parks and Recreation has Veterans Park under construction. Its estimated completion date is March 3rd, so in about 30 days, Veterans Park will be back open again. The Port Authority / Parks and Recreation has Project Play and the Splash Pad under construction. Demo is to begin either late this week or early next week, and that park is scheduled to be completed on or before April 30th. Parks and Recreation has the expansion and addition of 2 new sand volleyball courts. The sand volleyball program has grown exponentially, and that is estimated to be completed in April of 2020. The Parks and Recreation Department has a grant that has been awarded to remove 2 additional derelict vessels from the St. Johns River. That solicitation is on the street, and it's scheduled to close in February, and work will be completed by the end of April. The Parks and Recreation Department has the Georgetown Park Pavilion project underway. The pavilion, the playground, and the picnic tables have been installed and are complete. We are exploring the option of a boat ramp location. Public Works has now completed the mowing, and Mr. Bernstein and Mr. Gerard are assisting us to delineate the wetlands and to provide some survey data. The Parks and Recreation Department has the Flora Home Park Historic Building underway. The Flora Home Historic Association is raising funds to complete the clubhouse renovations. The county has a contractor scheduled to remove the concrete slab, and the Flora Home Park Association expects that the clubhouse renovations will begin sometime in February. The Planning Department has the Comprehensive Plan Consultant and Update underway. The update and analysis of background data is almost complete. We are in the process of 1, reviewing goals, objectives, and policies, as well as establishing the future land use map to develop recommendations on the location for future growth based on available future infrastructure, environmental constraints, and other conditions. Through March of this year, we will be holding stakeholder public meetings and workshops to attain input from what is working and what is not working and what is desired. We expect to see a proposed amendment of the future land use map by the end of April and a draft to the BOCC by mid-July. The Planning Department also has Citizen Serve online permitting project. That contract has been modified by Mr. Commando and sent to Citizen Serve to execute. Public Works has construction going on County Road 207A, bridge over Dog Branch Creek. It's expected to be complete by July. Public Works has dirt to pave 2019 projects underway, and we expect that to be complete by July 2020. Public Works has the Main Street sidewalk construction down in Crescent City underway. That solicitation is on the street. The bids close in February, and construction is estimated to be completed in October. Public Works has Fort Gates Ferry Landing. Travis Roberts of Putnam Way is our project lead as authorized by the BOCC. There are permit revisions that are needed. The FDEP permit has been revised successfully. The Army Corps of Engineer permit is still pending the revision, and pile load calculations are needed for FDOT. Once those two items are done, we should have a scope and be able to move forward into construction. Ashley Lake, Phase 1 has been completed. Phase 2 is estimated to be complete in August. Public Works also has the Barden Bridge Rehabilitation Project. Presentations and final evaluations will be held tomorrow, and a rank order will be presented to the board on February 4th. Public Works also has the GIS mapping of the mowers. IT and Public Works are piloting 3 devices on 3 various pieces of equipment. Once the system is operational, IT and Public Works estimate that it'll take 45 days to implement the program fully. Public Works has the Boys Ranch Road Pipe Culvert Replacement Project out. The solicitation is on the street. The bids are actually due today. An award will be brought to the February 4th special called meeting. Work to begin immediately, and the work is scheduled to be completed by the end of March. Public Works has Lake Susan Road Phase 2 under construction. Construction is scheduled to begin in December of 2020, and the project completion date is estimated to be December of 2023. Public Works also has St. John's Avenue resurfacing, Palm Avenue to CSX crossing at the Palatka Fire Station. Construction scheduled to begin in January of 2021, and the project completion date is estimated to be December of 2023. The Sanitation Department has cell for a construction expansion. The RFQ for the designer is on the street. We hope to start construction in the third quarter of 2020, and we expect that to take 6 months. That concludes my snapshot of the project updates.
Wow.
Okay, thank you, Julie, I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
This was just mainly intended to do just what it just did, kind of get us
Mr. Chairman,
flying. Yes, sir.
Julianne, we didn't receive anything in our packets.
I was making adjustments to it right before I walked in here.
Anyways, as I was saying, is it possible for us to put these on our public website as updates for the public to be able to see? So when we get them, they're able to see them in case they can't attend the meeting?
Of course it is.
And maybe if it was broken down by department, so if they're wondering what Public Works is doing or what Parks and Recreation is doing, they can go to that particular webpage and see what their updates are. Might be a little more
A
meaningful.
snapshot of their updates. It's already broken down by department, but yes, I'm sure Mr. Stender can post that to our website.
That's it.
Thank you, Julian.
Commissioner Harvey.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to give you kudos for bringing this out. A lot of times, there's a lot of balls in the air around here and trying to juggle them all to see which ones are still coming in for a landing. But I can tell you that I'm very pleased with what I heard today. There are a lot of good things happening in Putnam County. And Julianne, thank you. Mr. Chairman, thank you for that foresight.
Thank you. Laurie, has our people shown up? Okay, would you come forward, please, for the recognitions?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Today we are recognizing employees for their years of service, and we are recognizing 4 employees. There are a few others, of course, but they couldn't make it. They were either off or were unable to come. And if Commissioner Turner could please, Chairman, please come up and I will present the certificates. Also, if Matt Langenbach, Jacob Herbine, and Jean Morgante please step forward. Thank you. Jacob had to come out of the control room. Give me just a second. First, I'd like to recognize Matt Langenbach. Step forward, thank you. Matt is a paramedic firefighter with Emergency Services Fire EMS. He started with the county in 2015 as a paramedic firefighter, and Matt is celebrating 5 years of service.
Picture time.
You can scoot back, we're gonna do pictures in a minute. Okay. And then the parents can come up too. Yes, sir. Next is Jacob Herbine. Jacob is a document control clerk with the IT department. Jacob started with the county in 2015 as a help desk technician, then promoted to his current position in 2016. Jacob is also celebrating 5 years of service. Next, we had Rick Freeze. He was unable to make it, but Rick is a PC specialist with the IT department. Some of you know Rick.
Yeah.
Rick was hired in 2005, and he is celebrating 15 years of service with IT.
Deal.
Lastly, we have Jean Morgante. Y'all know Jean. Jean is a health and safety specialist for emergency services. He first started with the county as an EMT PRN, which was just a temporary position, in 1996. He promoted to full-time in 2005 as an EMT. In 2015, he promoted to his current position of health and safety specialist. Jean is celebrating 15 years of full-time service and 23 years of total service. If you all could come forward for pictures, please. I'd also like Matt's family to come up if they'd like a picture also.
Sorry, I'm in the behind. All right, family picture. Come on, Mom. Couldn't hit the ball. Finally, when I was a kid in Little League, I hit the ball to second base, and my aunt ran out and kissed me right.
I think every commissioner that gets the opportunity to be chairman says again and again, that's the best part of our job right there.
That's right.
Recognizing service. Okay, we're going to move down to public comment. I would suppose that most of the people here are here for the Second Amendment, so I'm going to make a statement about that as soon as I read the public comment section on the agenda. But what we're going to do is we'll sit here all day if y'all want to come forward and speak to us with the 3-minute comments. But I'm going to ask everybody that's in this room today that's for the Second Amendment, please raise your hand. That's what I thought. So, like I said, we will stay here as long as you want and listen to you, but we get it.
Probably easier to go the other way now.
So, anyhow, this portion of the agenda is designed to allow citizens an opportunity to bring matters to the attention of the board. It is not reasonable to expect that the board will engage in debate or deliberation about matters on which the board has received no prior information as part of this agenda. Please limit to 3 minutes. Public comment cards are conveniently placed in the back of the meeting room and should be submitted prior to the meeting or during the meeting to the deputy clerk who sits right over here. So, with that, I'm going to call Kevin Perry.
Good Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
It is great to see a packed building today. Couple things, mainly, I'm here for the 2A today. Got a question for the commissioners, why we don't have meetings in the evening for the folks at work? I know it's it's great to see it packed today, but there's a lot of people that are missing the boat today too. So, is there a reason why we can't have meetings in the evenings too, or how would that work? I think it would better serve the county as for people that are working right now too. And also I'd like to know, with the vote today, how do we know, as far as citizens go, where it goes as far as on the sheriff's end? Is he on board with this if it passes, or how, as citizens, as normal citizens, how would we find that out?
Mr.
Want
Chairman?
to take that one,
I will
buddy?
definitely answer it. Yeah, I had spent a lot of time talking to the sheriff about this to make sure that if this passes, that we would not be holding his hand where he could not do the things he needs to do, because everyone in here knows where I stand on this. I believe you should have a weapon to protect yourself if that's what you so choose. There are certain people who do not need to have a weapon in their hands. And that's what we don't want to restrict from the sheriff's department. And I went through this with Sheriff Deloach very heavily to make sure that this would not restrict him in any way. Did you want to elaborate on that?
If you'll indulge us for just a second, we were positive that this question was going to come up in here. So I think it may answer a lot of questions right off the bat and maybe move us along a little quicker if I just go ahead and talk to you briefly about the position of the sheriff's office. But I appreciate the opportunity to do so. As you guys all know, but just for the citizens, I'm Colonel Joseph Wells, the Chief Deputy Sheriff of Putnam County. I speak on behalf of Sheriff Deloach and myself today. Sheriff Deloach is in Tallahassee meeting with various members of the House and Senate as we speak. He is working with our elected officials on requested appropriations, reasonable sentencing guidelines, as well as speaking against unreasonable gun regulations. We speak in support of the resolution designating Putnam County as a Second Amendment sanctuary county. In doing so, we reaffirm our commitment to preserving the rights of law-abiding citizens to possess and carry firearms. In doing so, we remind the citizens of the sheriff's commitment to continue to provide extensive training to our deputies so we never erroneously erode the Second Amendment. In doing so, we agree to continue to provide free firearms training so that our citizens may obtain their concealed weapons permits. In doing so, we look forward to training church security teams to defend places of worship. Finally, in doing so, we promise that we will use our relationship with lawmakers to fight against legislation aimed at restricting the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens. We encourage all citizens who wish to carry a firearm to do so, and encourage all of our citizens to become and remain proficient in the safe use of firearms. There is no better protection against an armed assailant than an armed citizen, and we need citizens that are willing and empowered to bear arms in preservation of their personal safety. With our right to keep and bear arms, a fundamental right given to us as Americans by the United States Constitution, under attack at all levels of government, we believe it is important for the Putnam County Commission and the Sheriff of Putnam County to make it clear to the citizens we serve where their local government stands on this issue, and we believe it is time for Putnam County to join the ranks of others throughout the state and become a Second Amendment sanctuary county.
Mr. Rawls?
Drop the mic. To your first question, I personally agree with you. I think we should have nighttime meetings. I think we should make our government accessible for our citizens that we serve, and the majority of the folks that are in a position to earn and pay taxes should be able to be represented and heard in the evenings or in a more convenient time than 9 o'clock in the morning. So if I had a microphone, I would drop it now too.
All right, thanks.
Thank you for
gentlemen.
coming today.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
would
Mr.
you
Pickens?
tell him about the quarterly meeting that we're having at night?
Yeah, we're having town hall meetings that we're trying right now. The last one was very well attended, the first Thursday of every quarter. to see if to try to get the issues from the residents. So we are trying to move in that direction and have some nighttime meetings, and the full staff doesn't attend that, so we don't have to bring in the full department heads and the cost of having nighttime meetings. So that's where we are right now, and hopefully it works out. The last one worked out real well. It was very well attended, so hopefully they continually will.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
How many people here are in favor of nighttime meetings? Thank you.
Okay, next is Suzanne Pickens. Thank you.
Suzanne Pickens, 1706 Carr Street, Palatka, Florida. Chairman Turner, Commissioners, staff, and concerned citizens. I was one of the 3 people at the January 14th meeting who spoke expressing concerns about the Second Amendment sanctuary resolution. One concern is being addressed by this opportunity for public comment. Thank you. I speak today as one with a belief in and a reverence for our Constitution in its entirety, as one who was raised with a healthy respect for firearms and taught what reasonable and responsible gun ownership means. I'm not trying to change any minds. I know those were made up a long time ago. That does not mean I do not still have concerns about this resolution. Not a law, not an ordinance, a resolution. Regarding the information disseminated and the beliefs and perhaps misconceptions about what this resolution can and cannot do, does and does not mean, and what people want it to mean. The January 15th Palatka Daily News reported that the resolution would enable Putnam County residents to keep guns should federal laws ever change regarding the Second Amendment. The January 25th paper reported making Putnam County a Second Amendment sanctuary would mean no matter what federal gun laws changes were made, Putnam County would still have the right to bear arms. Today's paper editorial quotes Commissioner Goddard. If the nation or state suddenly decided they were going to, in essence, outlaw guns, our county would be a sanctuary county, and the nation or state would have to overrun that. But it's basically a protection if laws were to do something like that. To my knowledge, this is not accurate information. Yet neither the commission nor staff has offered a more accurate explanation of what the resolution will accomplish. To this constituent, the resolution reads as a policy statement reflecting support for the Second Amendment. The problem I see is not a policy statement that makes Putnam County citizens feel warm and fuzzy about owning guns. The problem I fear is the all too likely and as yet unclarified belief that this resolution makes our county a place where state and federal gun laws, current and future, will not and cannot be enforced at the direction of the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Butch Miller. While Butch is walking up here, Sarah, I received your note, not you, the other Sarah, that you wanted a picture. Would you walk up here and I'll ask everybody to raise their hand in support of the Second Amendment resolution today? The paper wants a picture of everybody raising their hand. All in favor, raise your hand. Don't forget us.
Better put that on Panoramic.
Thank you, Butch.
I think when we call for a vote, we should let the public vote.
Yeah.
Good morning. I'm Butch Miller, and I reside at 117 Driftwood Lane, Georgetown, and I am here to show my support for the Second Amendment sanctuary status. Appreciate Mr. Goddard bringing that to the attention of the county. I was hoping it would come out, we'd see it. I just see it as another bridge to protect the Second Amendment. And I also read the paper this morning, and I saw where Mr. Goddard said he was probably something we would never need. And I hope and pray that's a fact. But it needs to be there. There are other counties doing it, and we've actually had elected officials in Washington talk about going out and taking assault weapons. I mean, they've spoken openly about it. How far they would ever try to go, I don't know. But then they also define an assault weapon as a semi-automatic that'll hold 10 rounds or more. I got two of them. My first hunting gun I got when I was 10, and that was 62 years ago, and it was a hand-me-down, but it holds about 15, 16 rounds. And then I bought another one for a kid to hunt with about 40 years ago, and same situation. And it's not an assault-style weapon, I'm sure, but it would be defined under some of the people's beliefs. So I just wanted to bring that forward and thank the commission for looking at this, and I think I know where it's at, so I appreciate your time. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Butch. Good to see you again. Next is Andrew DeVires.
Thank you. I'm Andrew DeVries. I reside at 123 Highland Avenue, Pomona Park. And I'd like to thank God for establishing this nation. Excuse me. And gathering the men who are willing to sacrifice their fortunes and their lives for this nation. Excuse me. I fought for and defended this nation, and to see it go in the direction it's going, it's wrong. And we need to hold those accountable who want to infringe the rights of the citizens. Right to speak, the right to bear arms are being taken away. Wrong. We need to remove from office anyone who wants to even touch them. That's what we need to do. We need to get busy in removing them from office and cleaning house. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeVires. Next is Brent Corley.
Good morning. I reside 110 Red Fox Trail here in Palatka. If you don't mind, I'd kind of like to revise the question I had written down just a little bit, as the deputy sheriff had kind of cleared up a few of those questions. Because it is a resolution and not a law, a statute specifically stating what we will do in regards to infringement of the Second Amendment, and you may not be able to answer this question, maybe the deputy can, or maybe Sheriff DeLoach. Will he support it in a passive, stand back, we won't enforce anything that comes down the line that does infringe upon our Second Amendment rights? Or will he go so far as to be active in case of a situation, maybe a state agency that decides to come down, confiscation's pretty extreme, but not necessarily out of the picture? Would he be, or would the county sheriff's department take a more active role in protecting that? And I understand you don't directly speak for him, and I get that. But that's a question and a concern that I've really been thinking about since I saw this on Facebook and found out about the meeting that I did not attend the first time. And that's hugely important considering, at least my understanding of the way that the structure works, the county sheriff is probably the most sovereign law enforcement out there. I've been real proud of the things I've seen him do. And I know that we do elect new ones. But where does that stand? How important is that for him to be a supportive or active role in that?
You want to try that one, Colonel Wells? Fred, I think he made it fairly plain in his previous speech that they're on board with this and would do anything that they could to support it, so.
I had stepped in the parking lot just to speak to a few folks out there, so I didn't catch the whole statement, but I believe to get the gist of it from the end. I think the sheriff, as a constitutional officer of the county, certainly has discretion on how he directs his deputy sheriffs to enforce laws. And I think that in all of the direction, well, I know, and that all the direction he gives on how to enforce those laws, we will stand up to the utmost of our ability in support and in protection of the Second Amendment rights. I think, though, that, our focus will obviously be to work very hard to ever get into that adversarial role with any state or federal law enforcement officers, and that is making sure that we work on the front end to do exactly what he's doing today and work in Tallahassee to ensure that several concerning legislative bills that we see rolling through this year never make it to the streets. But I think absolutely the sheriff, as the constitutional officer of the county, has the ability to and does currently direct his deputies on how he prefers that specific statutes be enforced within compliance of the law.
Thank you. Colonel Wells, could you come up, could you approach, please?
I'm sorry?
Come up here, please.
Yes, sir.
Approach the bench.
Thank you. Next to speak is Tom Townsend.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I could address it real quick. This is where elections have consequences, and you just have to remember that going forward, because you currently have a sheriff that supports this. So just wanted to put that out there.
Mr.
Morning,
Townsend,
gentlemen.
would you give us your name and address for the record,
My name is
please?
Tom Townsend, 212 O'Farrell Avenue, Interlochen. I've heard some people say some stuff about government giving us this right. This is not a government right. This is bestowed upon us by our Creator. And it's a shame that some people don't understand what shall not be infringed means. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Next speaker is Linda Mann.
Good morning.
Morning.
Just a few words. My husband had to leave for a dentist appointment, so he just wanted to read the Second Amendment to you, so I know y'all know that.
7 words.
Just a few things. Thank you for having this public time for us to let you know where we're all at. It's alarming that the citizens of any county in America would be having to ask their local government to uphold our Second Amendment rights and declare a sanctuary status. Our right to protect our homes, our personal safety, and mostly to protect our freedom from a government gone wrong is being eroded away across America. Let us be the wiser and stand firm as informed voters, holding our local government accountable for upholding our Second Amendment right under the U.S. Constitution for all time. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Ms. Mann. Ms. Mann? Ms. Mann, did I understand that your husband, Douglas Mann, is not here?
He was here, he had to go.
That's fine. I won't call his name then to speak. Thank you. Next is Larry Masters.
Thank you, Terry Turner, and the rest of the board, and all the citizens of Putnam County for supporting this Second Amendment sanctuary. Second Amendment guarantees us the right to keep and bear arms. It doesn't limit us. It doesn't say that you cannot have a AK-47 or you cannot have a magazine that holds more than so many rounds. It guarantees us that right. I'd like to raise your hand and see how many of you all have fire extinguishers in your house. Who has a fire extinguisher? Is it loaded? Yeah. Well, I hope so, because you're the first line of defense. If something happens in your house, a little fire breaks out in the kitchen, you're the first line of defense. Of course, you're going to call the fire department, and they're going to be your backup, and that's great. Firearms gives us the first line of defense also. If something bad's going to go down, you need to be able to defend yourself. And that's very important. Of course, you're going to call 911 and law enforcement is going to arrive, but is it going to be in time? The best chance you have of survival is yourself. And firearms is the best chance to win. I don't want to see anybody throw a shoe at someone coming in with a shotgun to shoot you. You're not going to throw a shoe at them, right? You want something that's going to work. So again, I know you guys are going to do the right thing. I know you all seem to really be in favor of it. And I think it's got some teeth to it. Some people say it doesn't, but I believe it does, especially having the sheriff on board. That's a big deal. So this thing will have teeth. We don't want any crazy guy out there shooting up anything. We all agree on that. but the law-abiding citizens, the people to protect themselves, we don't want red flag laws either. Because your neighbor says, oh, jeepers, this guy looks a little dangerous, and they come and confiscate your gun without due process. That is totally wrong. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Larry, I forgot to ask you to say your name and address for the record, so if you would end up with that, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. Larry Masters, 150 River Shore Drive, San Mateo, Florida, 32187.
Thank you, Larry. Next is Ernest Moody. Mr. Moody, if you'd give us your name and address for the record, please.
Ernest Moody, 201 Hunter Road, Palatka, Florida, 32177. Two things. Thank you for allowing us to speak. I'd like to give you a little story. My dad was a World War II veteran. He told me many things about what happened to him from the beaches of Normandy till he was finally blasted nearly to death over the Rhine River. They were there to fight a despot, Hitler. The first thing Hitler did, he disarmed his nation so that they couldn't fight back. There was a lot of Germans that didn't agree with him. They all went to death camps because they didn't agree with him. So a nation can turn the wrong way if it's not guided. The second thing is, I agree with what the gentleman was saying about you got to have balance in what we're doing. One of the things that I'm dealing with now is a relative that's elderly, and he's got a good collection of weapons, and he's not able to know what he's doing anymore. So at some point you can say disarm somebody. Sometimes the authorities have to do that. The sheriff's department, I think, probably does that. So that is a reality. At some point we all will become unable to correctly carry, you might say. So they have that obligation as a sheriff's department to do that, and it's a good thing that they do, and thank them for it.
Thank you, Mr. Moody. Next speaker is Lawrence Campbell.
Good morning. My name is Lawrence Campbell. I live 431 Federal Point Road, East Palatka. I'd just like to voice my support of the Second Amendment and what you all are trying to do up here. If I am correct, I believe this year is a monumental year in that this is the 100th anniversary of when the women have obtained the right to vote. And having a new fiance and someone to think about, I would hate this to be the year that she also loses her right to defend herself. And one of the few things I believe that is important about the Second Amendment, it gives us the ability to maintain all of the other amendments. Because if we lose it, we really don't have much to say, but when they want to take the rest of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Everybody that couldn't make it in that's out in the lobby signed a petition, and every single one's for support. Sarah, let this be part of the record, please. Next speaker is Johnny Counts.
Now we're going to get an education.
Want to sit back down?
This is Dr. Johnny Counts, PhD.
Especially on the Constitution.
That's right.
The last one in here. I didn't know I'd get up here that quick. Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to see each one of y'all. Yeah, I'd like to say a few words about the Constitution. And I haven't said very much about it in the last 2 or 3 months, so I got a lot of making up to do, but only got 3 minutes. The original Constitution will never be obsolete, and what the Constitution is all about, providing freedom from abuses by those in authority. Anyone who says the American Constitution is obsolete just because social and economic conditions have changed does not understand the real genius of the Constitution. It was designed to control something which has not changed and will not change, and that's human nature. And that's been going on since the beginning. The power of the Constitution will always be in the people. It is entrusted for certain defined purposes and for a certain limited period to representatives of their own choosing, and whatever it is to be executed contrary to their interest or not agreeable to their wishes, their servants can and undoubtedly will be recalled. That was from President George Washington. James Wilson, he was the signer of the Declaration and the Constitution. He made a point in his 1791 lectures on law at the College of Philadelphia: whoever would be obliged to obey a constitutional law is justified in refusing to obey an unconstitutional act of the legislature. When a question, even of this delicate nature, occurs, everyone who is called to act has a right to judge. Juries are called to act in our criminal justice system. The immediate concern we have is not with parties, groups, or persons, but with principles. Therefore, I commend and encourage every person and every group who is sincerely seeking to study the constitutional principles and awaken to a sleeping and apathetic people to the alarming conditions that are rapidly advancing about us. I wish all of our citizens throughout the land were participating in some type of organized self-education in order that they would better appreciate what is happening and know what they can do about it. All persons are by nature free and independent and have a certain inherent and inalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and the right to keep and bear arms for security or defense of self, family, home, and others, and for other lawful common defenses, hunting, recreational use, and all other lawful purposes. And such rights shall not be denied or infringed by the state or any subdivision thereof. To secure these rights and the protection of the property, governments are instituted among the people, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. So by and by you will find the Constitution, they'll tear it to shreds, as they've begun now, and it started long ago to rend the Constitution in pieces. In doing so, we're going to have to understand, educate ourselves on it, and know when that's being taken away from us. I don't see a lot of the purpose in a Second Amendment resolution. I would like to see something more in the lines of a whole Constitution resolution, as it was written. Follow each and every one of those precepts, and let us go back to the ones who wrote it, and the times when they were doing it. That's what the intent means. And the Second Amendment it's not a right that it gives us. It's our protected rights through that bill that comes from our Creator, and we all have that right within us. I hope that we can continue this. I like to see how many people are here and are involved in it, but I hope they are educating themselves. As I'm continuing to learn more and more about this, I think we ought to have one every commission meeting. Let's have a little 5 or 10 minute discussion about one of the Bill of Rights or the Constitution or Declaration of Independence, and let's start helping educate one another and get together in groups, privately or whatever, and let's get on the ball and let's go for what was originally intended, and for our officials to, of course, know your duty and continue to protect our freedoms and listen to the people. I appreciate your time. I'm sorry I went over. I need to get out of here. I'm Johnny Counts from Crocker Swamp, Florida. Good day.
Okay, next, John Traxler.
John Traxler, 3530 Krill Avenue, Palatka. I want to tell you thank you for having this and putting the word out. I think it's important. It is a shame we have to have a resolution for the 2A because I agree with, as Mr. Count stated in the Constitution, not just part of it, all of it. But I could stand and talk about a lot of things, but I want to just focus on a couple of things. I believe in our law enforcement. I appreciate them, and we all know them. We might be kin to them, or we have a relationship with them, and I think that our sheriff will uphold the Constitution, and I think that's why this resolution is important, and that's why I'm in favor of it, is, you know, it gives a little bit of a gray area. If a bunch of people that aren't from Florida or aren't in the following the Constitution, if they want to pass a law that would come in here and take our guns or what have you, any type of thing like that, then I believe that it gives that gray area where our local law enforcement may not have to do that. You know, I think that's important. That's going to prevent confrontations. And you know, everybody talks about hunting, and I'm probably an avid hunter as anybody in this county. I've been here my whole life. But it's not about hunting, it's about deterrent to tyranny. And as far as the type of weapons, I want to make one comment about that. You know, we grew up around here and everybody had M1 carbines after World War II. That's no different than the weapons they're trying to ban today. And so I appreciate your time, and I support whatever you're doing here.
Thank you.
Pro 2A.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Next speaker, Paul Adamsack.
Good morning. My name is Paul Adamsack, 150 Spooner Road, Hawthorne, Florida. May all your decisions come with God's blessings. Thank you, Commissioner Harvey, for getting this onto the workshop agenda and pushing for its acceptance at every local available we had without hesitation and limitation. Thank you, Buddy Goddard, for doing the same. Our Second Amendment reads, a well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is not only about bad guys and good guys with guns, hunting, shooting sports, or passing of our heirlooms to the next generation. It runs much deeper than that. In the past 4 years, over 150 new gun laws have been passed at the state and federal level, including all states, limiting access to firearms, gathering, preparing, and training of like minds for emergency defense of our Constitution, furthering law enforcement military's access to items banned to the public, as well as banning materials, accessories, and gun types from the public. Over 1,000 initiatives have been in committee on legislative floors or struck down by executive branches of different state and federal government bodies. These continue to be recycled under new bill names with new sponsorship in differing legislative bodies. Many of the new laws now in effect add restrictions on owning a firearm. 18 of these laws disqualify more people from owning guns. 11 red flag laws were enacted nationwide, and 9 further prohibitions of firearm types, magazine sizes, and accessories. There's 750,000 law-abiding citizens in the state of Florida that now have no right to buy or own a gun that had the right 5 years ago. Those are those aged 18 to 20 years old. As Americans, we need to continue to do everything we can to recognize, educate, and push for furthering the Second Amendment and our Constitution as a whole, not only for self-defense or hunting, but in the event of a tyrannical government or military, so we can defend our Constitution as individuals or militias if the need is to arise. Pound cold dead hands is a common thing. It's a statement, and other statements hold true for many of us today. This is not simply about defending against the bad guy with a gun. It is about limiting our government's role in this part of our lives. I vow to defend our Constitution with my life when I enlist in the U.S. Navy, and will continue to do so until my death. Prayerfully, I die of natural causes many years from now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Allegra Kitchen.
Mr. Chairman.
Allegra, yes.
While she's coming up, can I say something?
Sure.
How many veterans are in the room? How many prior law enforcement? All right. you're all oath keepers, you're all oath takers, and we swore, and there was no time limit. I did it, Buddy did it, and I just want to thank everybody in here for your service. And this goes to the core of what we enlisted for, to protect and serve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Allegra
Rawls.
Kitchens, 1027 South 12th Street, Palatka, Florida. Let me clear up the record first. The Palatka Daily News stated at your last meeting, 3 people were opposed to this resolution. 3 people spoke. I was one of the 3. I was not opposed to it. If any of you thought I was, you were sadly mistaken. Trust me.
Come on, you're not saying the Palatka Daily News got that wrong, did you?
To quote from your resolution, when the U.S. Supreme Court found in Miranda versus Arizona, 384 U.S. 436, 1966, that where rights secured by the Constitution are involved, there can be no rulemaking or legislation which would abrogate them. The Florida legislature violated their oath of office and the U.S. Constitution when they passed Florida's Risk Protection Order or Red Flag Law in March of 2018. Thomas Jefferson said, "The laws that forbid the carrying of arms are a law of such a nature, they disarm only those who are neither inclined nor determined to commit crimes. Such laws make things worse for the assaulted and better for the assailants. They serve rather to encourage than to prevent homicides, for an unarmed man may be attacked with greater confidence than an armed man." President Jefferson's statement holds as true today as when he said it, as these mass shootings only take place in gun-free zones where people are unarmed. When a state law violates the U.S. Constitution, it's your duty to stand up for the Constitution. Making Putnam County a Second Amendment sanctuary county shows your support of our United States Constitution, our God-given right to defend ourselves, and our right to due process. By voting to make Putnam County a Second Amendment sanctuary city, you are fulfilling your oath of office. Please vote for this. And I would add that while this may not do anything in particular, what it does do something in particular. It shows that you stand up for our constitutional rights and our Second Amendment rights in particular. Without the Second Amendment, the rest of the Constitution is useless because we would have no way to defend ourselves. And as to what happens if the federal government infringes on those rights, that won't be your problem. We, the citizens, will deal with it. Thank you.
Okay, the last card I have is Mike Perry.
My name is Mike Perry. I reside at 225 Hiawatha Court, East Palatka, USA. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I'll try and be brief. I am a hunter, an NRI life member, and a Marine veteran. I support this resolution, but I say to this honorable board and my fellow citizens who are gathered here today that the entire Constitution is in jeopardy. As citizens, we must be vigilant, not only in defense of our Second Amendment rights, but in defense of this entire precious document. I do not fear the tyranny of government because of the Second Amendment, but if it should raise its treacherous head, we will cut it off by exercising our Second Amendment rights in its purest form, in the defense of liberty. If the day should come that we must defend our rights, Putnam County will not be a sanctuary. Putnam County will be a fortress. Thank you very much.
Amen.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, that was my last blue card, so with that, would you like to speak, sir? Yes, please come forward. Yes, sir. Not a problem. If you'd just give us your name and address for the record.
Sure, sir. My name is Mark Johnston. I'm from Interlochen, 100 Colbert Street. I've been a resident of Florida for 10 years. Anyone that knows me, I'm the ultimate cynic. I mean, I'm so discouraged with what I'm reading about our country and how it's going down the tubes in terms of our Constitution. I had the benefit of an education where they taught the Constitution, but I graduated in 1971. Many here today probably did so as well. They at least were taught, And that is why I came forward today. It prompted me to try to encourage you folks to encourage our schools to start teaching it again.
Yeah.
Because they're not. And a lot of these kids, they don't have a clue. Many of them couldn't even tell you who the vice president is of the United States. I watch these videos where the people are standing there and asking common sense questions and they don't know. We're raising a whole bunch of idiots out there, and it scares me. It really does. But I want to thank you, commend you all for supporting this measure. And I, for one, have a new hope. And just by the folks that showed up today, I have a joy in my heart, let me say. So thank you very much for allowing me to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, with that, I'm going to close public comment and ask for a motion on the resolution to, yes. Somebody else wanted to speak? Okay, please come forward. Would you give us your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, sir. My name is Walter Dinkla. I am,
Say again.
my name is Walter Dinkla.
Walter, okay, sorry.
D-I-N-K-L-A-M-O-U-S-E. I reside at 139 East Dogwood, Florham, Florida. I am a born-in county Putnam resident. I am a veteran of the Navy, 24 years, retired naval officer. I'm a veteran of the public school system, 18 years in the school system. And I want to point out, as has been pointed out before, when I took that oath of service, there was no expiration date. My goal here is to defend the Constitution and my right to speak. I am a gun owner. I own automatic weapons, semi-automatic weapons. Let me be precise. I have to say semi-automatic. A number of them. But the thing is, I'm opposed to this resolution. And there are three reasons. Number one, we have a remedy to laws that we consider to be harmful and unconstitutional. It is the judiciary. When we say that the Constitution is not strong enough to handle controversies, we are subverting the role of the Constitution in our society. The judiciary is there to fix, to remedy those harms. To say it's not strong enough is to subvert the Constitution. Second, we've had these issues come up before. In 1832, President Andrew Jackson said of a Supreme Court decision he did not like, and he's reputed to have said, he probably said something a little more profane than this. John Marshall has made his decision, let him enforce it. The result, the Trail of Tears, and hundreds died on moving the Cherokees from the Tennessee, Georgia, North Carolina area to Oklahoma. That same year, South Carolina said, Congress has passed a tariff. We don't think it's constitutional. We disagree with it. We are going to not enforce it. That began what became known as the nullification crisis. That was only one of a series of crises that arose from people saying, I don't like this law, I'm not going to enforce it. What ultimately happens is it snowballed. It snowballed into an event we call the Civil War. Why? Because these various crises aggravated splits in the society. Instead of seeking to bridge these gaps, this nullification crisis aggravated them. And thousands died. And I apologize, may I go a little bit further?
Yes, sir, but please try to wrap it up as soon as you can.
Okay, I appreciate that. We had this event in the 20th century, 1954, Brown versus Board of Education, Topeka, Kansas, said integration is the rule of the land. It took 20 years more. Great harm resulted. Again, we subvert the Constitution when we do this. Third, and I wish I could go further, when we say we can justify not enforcing one law, we are saying to others that can be true for all laws. And once again, instead of protecting the Constitution, we are subverting it. Now, I will say, I appreciate the opportunity to speak, and I understand that I'm in the minority here, but I believe that because something is popular does not make it right. And I would hope that you vote, that you go for what's right and not what's popular. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we're going to attempt to close public comment again. Ms. Nancy, you want to speak?
Got a few people.
Would y'all fill out a blue card for me, please, if there's going to be plenty? Oh, out of cards? Okay. Okay. Thank you, it helps. Yes,
I
ma'am.
apologize for not filling out a card. Good morning, commissioners, gentlemen, and lady. I'm going to be very brief what I got to say. A lot of these politicians in this great country of ours are socialists, and they would like nothing better than to make us a socialist country. What better way to do it than to keep us from our arms, to take away our right to bear arms? We don't want that to happen. Thank you.
Before you leave, would you give me your name and address for the record?
Barbara Altman, 255 West River Road, Palatka, Florida.
Thank you, Ms. Altman. Okay, who would like to go next? Filling out the cards, would you just come forward and? If you didn't get it filled out, that's fine. Just give me your name and address for the record up here. If you did fill it out, I'll take the card from you.
My name is Andy May, 180 Wilkinson Road, Barden. I would like to say we're not subverting the Constitution. We're reinforcing the Constitution. We're supporting the Constitution. And that's why we need to vote in favor of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. May. That'll work, thank you. Appreciate it. It helps her keep track. Okay, was there another one over here that wanted to speak? Did you want to speak?
Getting cold again.
God, it's freezing.
It's temperature.
Let's see.
My name is George Cunningham. I reside at 370 Songbird Road, Palatka, Florida. Just like to say that earlier I appreciate some of the people here clarifying a statement that was made by this council that our rights are granted by the Constitution. Our rights are granted by God. The Constitution was only intended to basically restrain an out-of-control government in a situation like this. But I would like to take it one step further. Everyone refers to our Second Amendment rights as a right. I believe that the Second Amendment, defending our families, defending our homes, and defending our churches is a responsibility. If you look, when Christ knew that his end was near, in Luke 22:36, he advised any of his disciples that did not own a sword to sell their cloak and buy one. And whether you're aware of it or not, the short sword was the personal defense weapon of its day. It was the Glock 9mm of its day. I'd just like to close by saying that, at least to me, this issue was settled with Marbury versus Madison. Any law repugnant to the Constitution is null and void. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Rawls, did you have something you wanted to?
I was gonna make a motion, but I didn't realize we're still going on.
Yeah, I'm gonna continue as long as somebody wants to speak unless the commission has a problem with it. Yeah, there was one right over here was next.
Mr. Chairman, maybe they line up if they have a card.
Julian's walking around waving the cards. Cards, get your cards.
Hi, my name is Barbara Coy, 115 West Washington Street, Interlochen. I was in Chicago area living when 9/11 happened. Chicago Sears Tower was thought to have been one of the locations. I had to drive underneath it that day. I am so for the pro-life because our country is under attack. They're here still, and it's not going to go away. And I want the right to be able to defend myself, my country, and also maybe your family, because it's under attack, and I'm willing to stand up and fight. I've never been a vet, but my grandparents were, my dad, my husband, my nephews, and I'm willing to die for this country and for this right. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're not Sarah.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Tim Knowles.
Good morning. My name is Tim Knowles. I live at 6002 4th Manor East, Palatka. I'd like to thank you for having this opportunity to come and speak. I'm talking a little numb. I just left the dentist in a hurry to get here, so excuse me if I sound funny. Number one, I was one of these students in school where we did learn Americanism versus communism, most of civics and other government subjects. Whether you believe in them or not, today's students, we did. Grew up in this county. I reference, I used to walk around as an 8 and 10-year-old out in Francis and Barden squirrel hunting. It excited no one. People would stop and say, well, how'd you do today, son?
That's right.
But I understand that our county has been influenced by good people moving into the county, and we all bring diverse views, and that's what makes us a democracy. We can respect, have conversation, and vote Democratic. Majority rules. It's not about changing our Constitution. It's about understanding each other and coming to a common understanding. Our power is at the ballot box, and I believe this, in point, is a ballot box for the county. You raised the papers of all that were here. I wish this meeting could have been at 6 in the evening because you'd had to fill that parking lot up and get buses. I would like the commission to take a moment, and I'm sure you have, but for the record, think of how many people are at work, earning a living, supporting their families, first responders, medical technicians, our hospitals, our lawyers, that would love to be here. The outcry or support would be monumental to what it is today, right now and here. What's sad is we're having to discuss this. As has been so eloquently discussed before, why are we doing this? There is a corruption, a corrosion of our normal values. Times are changing. It's creeping upon. The things we have as law today, I tell my sons 50 years ago, we'd have never even talked about them. It was fantasy. I never thought I'd pay for a bottle of water, but here we are, right? But I'm going to close and say I appreciate the opportunity to hear the citizens. Future, I wish when we know we're going to have this type of venue, could we make it another hour so we can get more diverse views? And lastly, please thank all our first responders, all our military that give for us so that we can be free and live here and have this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knowles. And the last card I have is Cheryl Smith.
Morning, my name is Cheryl Smith, 119 Murphy's Cove, East Palatka. I have a lot more than 3 minutes worth of thoughts. I'm not in favor of your resolution. I know we need weapons for defense. My family, my sons, my husband, just about everybody I know has weapons, concealed weapons permits, the whole 9 yards. I'm more worried about the people, especially our children, who cannot defend themselves, and that we need to be able to stop the people that can hurt them. I have no idea why anyone needs weapons that shoot so many multiple rounds of ammunition. I'm trying to weigh the balance of, do I need something that fires multiple rounds for what? You don't use them for hunting. You might want to see how long it takes to mow down a pine tree in the backfield. But it also mows down small children, teenagers, adults, grandparents, husbands, wives, sons, daughters, just randomly. And we have got to have some changes in laws to take care of that. If you have a child in school and you have a security person at the school with a weapon, usually somebody is shot and probably killed before that person can do anything to help. I mean, it's commendable that we have people. My son is security for his church. We have people helping protect us in places where you're not usually armed. But somebody usually is shot, killed, before somebody can come to the aid of the people who didn't get shot and killed. That's wonderful that you save so many other lives, but somebody always gets killed first. We have to have laws to keep weapons, the type of weapons, away from people that can do this. Everybody needs a chance. You want your pursuit of happiness. If it's hunting, whatever, that's fine. But a 6-year-old's pursuit of happiness cannot be just wiped off the face of the earth because people can have these weapons. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Okay, Barbara Jackson.
I am Barbara Jackson. I am an Air Force veteran. I live at 312 South Fern Street, San Mateo, Florida. To say that we don't need this because of our small kids is totally asinine.
Okay, guys, let's try to
had-
keep it down. I know we're all excited about this.
A 9-year-old child kidnapped, and we won't say how much damage was done to that child because she was 9 years old. Well, I wasn't there to defend her that day because I was at work. But had it been a different situation, I'd have saved my daughter from that hurt. All kinds of things happen. This world is not like it was even then when I thought she was safe. She's 53 to now, so that was a long time ago, December 10th, 1975. Not that I think of that date real often. We have to be able to defend ourselves. Criminals and those idiots out there are going to have weapons no matter what kind of laws we have. We must be able to defend ourselves and our babies.
That's right. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, there's a petition from more of the people that came that couldn't come in that are in the lobby, so let this also add it with the other one, let it become part of the record. And with that, I'm going to close public comment. And I'm going to ask for a motion on the resolution declaring Putnam County a Second Amendment sanctuary.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Rawls?
I would like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2020-4, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Putnam County declaring Putnam County a Second Amendment sanctuary county.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
From everywhere. Okay. Including the chair. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, under discussion, if I could briefly.
Sure.
A lot has been said today, and one of the gentlemen alluded to Hitler, and I did not know this. I grew up out of the country a lot, but it took Hitler less than 10 years to completely destroy Germany after they were disarmed. There's an expression, there's death by 1,000 cuts. You can cut yourself on the hand, on the arm, on the abdomen, and you're not going to die. But if you get 1,000 cuts, you die. And the erosion of our Constitution literally is a death by 1,000 cuts. And we're watching it happen. We're watching society change to where things that we were raised and to believe were not right, and now we're having to just live with. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because this would be a highly charged political conversation. Fight or flight was given to you by your Lord as part of your autonomic nervous system. It's your action and your ability to be able to dilate your pupils, increase your heart rate, increase your respirations, and get out of a dangerous situation, or stand and fight. This is your God-given right. Whether you're using a knife, a baseball bat, or a gun, it doesn't matter. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. I have lived in countries where they are unarmed, where you walk through the airport and the security people hold weapons, but none of the people in the countries have weapons. So when there are murders, they take place with axes, knives, machetes. You see them on TV. Don't think that a gun would stop somebody from killing somebody, whether they're 6 years old or 60 years old. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Pickens?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Turner. I don't know what I could say that haven't already been said this morning. I do want to thank everybody who spoke, who signed a petition, whether it was for or against this resolution. And I really want to thank my fellow commissioners. Last week, or last meeting, I made the suggestion that we push this back a week and a half till our next meeting where we could have public input. And they agreed with my wishes, and I want to thank you for doing that. And I think the people in the audits spoke that it was the right thing to do. So I want to thank you. Commissioner Turner, this commissioner would prefer a roll call vote on this if you would consider that.
Yes, sir. When we vote, Commissioner Harvey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do want to thank everyone for showing up today. It's very encouraging to see the room packed, and we want to see more of that over all the issues that we deal with in the county. Not only the Second Amendment, but our Constitution is under attack. And this commissioner is very concerned of what's going on in Washington, D.C. Mr. Traxler spoke about years past, and I remember as a young boy hunting here in some of the same areas, Mr. Knowles, you mentioned, in Francis, shooting squirrels. It's just common. We didn't shoot anybody. My daddy would have beaten me to death if I'd have shot something I shouldn't have shot. I mean, and I believed he would have killed me, frankly. I felt that way. We went to school with our guns in our back of our truck so we could go hunting as soon as school got out, or go to work and then go hunting after work. That's how we lived here. So my guns, I was telling somebody earlier today, are right where I left them when I left the house this morning. They didn't go out and shoot anybody overnight and come back. But this isn't about gun rights. This is about us standing up for our United States Constitution. And this is what this commissioner is going to do. I raised my hand. I could not serve in the service. I tried. I had asthma. They wouldn't take me. But this is my give back, that I'm not going to allow the Constitution of this United States to be walked on and tread upon ever, as I'm a public servant. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on this motion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
District 2?
Yes, and anybody else in the audience?
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
and District 5.
Yes.
I promised people I would.
Motion passes unanimously. And we're going to take a 10-minute recess.
Good job. Johnny counts.
Ready, Sarah? Jacob, we're ready? Okay. All right. Next, we're going to move into consent agenda. Are there any items that wish to be pulled by commissioners today? Commissioner Pickens?
I have none.
Commissioner Harvey,
I have none.
Commissioner Goddard,
I have none.
Commissioner Rawls. Oh, he's not here. Okay, so, and I have none. The chair will entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we accept our agenda, consent agenda from A to J.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, have it. Ayes have it. Excuse me. Next on number 8, clerk of court comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have no items today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Under appointments, I'd like to start, if it would be allowed by the board. I'd like to appoint Miss Stella Brown to the canvassing board as an alternate.
We don't need a motion for that, do we? You just make that appointment, right, because you're the
I
chairman?
just
Okay.
make that appointment, I understood.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just there was a addition to the consent agenda, which was J.
Jay, right, he did Jay.
Did not? Okay.
Yes, sir, he included from A to J.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, are there any appointments? Commissioner Harvey,
I have none today.
Commissioner Pickens,
I have none.
Commissioner Goddard,
I have none.
Commissioner Rawls.
There was a discussion about renewing Better Place. Gabe McKinnon has agreed to renew.
Okay. That's your appointment? Okay.
Yeah, he's already on there, but he's up for renewal. So, but is that a 3-year? Because he was appointed last year. That was his question, is he has to be reappointed every year, or I just put him on last December?
He was probably appointed to complete the rest of a term, of an existing term. Well, we can research it, though. And
That
then-
might be
Yeah.
correct. I think maybe somebody had not been showing up for meetings or something.
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
Do you have any
Mr.
more,
Chairman?
Commissioner? Anything else, Commissioner?
No, I think that's the only one I have,
All
correct?
right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have a
Yes,
question.
Commissioner Pickens?
Laura, was there an appointment from the TDC council to us for the accommodations? I spoke with Dana, and there was somebody interested. Has that been?
There was, but the commission requested to see an application to review those credentials, and I have not received an application via the website from that applicant yet.
Okay, all right, you're correct. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to put a public comment out there that if anybody is interested in serving on the planning commission, the zoning board of adjustment and possibly planning commission, I will have some openings. It's just been real hard to find anybody that wants to serve. So if you want to serve in those positions, please contact me through our website, and I'll be glad to talk to you then. Thank you.
Well, under the current rules that we set, if you want to be a member of one of the committees, you have to go to the website or get an application and fill it out to be on the committee. I think we're gonna find out sooner rather than later that this is gonna backfire.
Yeah.
I think that you're gonna find out that people that are already sitting on them committees and that are not gonna, they're gonna take it as an insult that they've sat there for several years and they have to fill out a card to be on there again. So I think that we should think about this, not today, but we should think about this and maybe straighten this out or fix it to where it's not an impediment to us filling our committees. It's not always easy to do so. And most certainly, we don't want to lose somebody that served diligently on a committee for many years because now we ask them to fill out a piece of paper when they're clearly qualified. So with that being said, Matt, do you want to make any comments today for the administrator?
No, sir, I have nothing.
Okay, thank you. Attorney Colonel Commando.
I appreciate the promotion. Actually, just thinking about your last comment, maybe you could exempt people that are already serving on boards from having to go through the new process.
Okay.
I have nothing else.
I think we're gonna have to do something. Anyhow, commissioner requests, I'm gonna start with Commissioner Rawls.
So I don't know if everybody's aware of what happened yesterday with our fire system, but we had 3 fires in county. One was at Georgia Pacific, one in Georgetown, from understanding, in East Palatka. Got several concerns from folks regarding staffing and ability to be able to respond to these incidents, having to call in mutual aid from East Palatka. And so I just want to reiterate that I really think that this needs to be an active, ongoing conversation. I did meet with a group of fire chiefs. They had a monthly meeting. They are preparing a list of concerns to give to staff. They're extremely concerned about the condition of the volunteer system. They're amenable to discussing almost anything at this point. There was actually a lot of cohesion in the room, which apparently was not in the past. So the East End versus South End, and the dogfighting that was going on between the departments has subsided, and they are willing to work in harmony to a resolution. So I think it would benefit the citizens to get something going sooner than later in the form of as an advisory committee, so they can have a seat at the table and be part of a conversation going forward in a fire and EMS system. Today was just absolutely phenomenal. I wish we could do this every meeting. There was some citizens that spoke out and acknowledged the fact that they would like to have nighttime meetings, so I personally would like to see us discuss the possibility of having one nighttime meeting a month and see how that goes, and see if we can't get some more public involvement. But otherwise, I think I'm in pretty good shape.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Rawls. Commissioner Goddard?
Yeah, I'll jump in there on that part. On nighttime meetings, we have looked at the staff not having to be here, so we wouldn't have to be paying the overtime, but we still got some legalities that they're gonna kind of iron out, look at and see for the evenings, and start. Chairman Turner's already started having some evening, but we've got actually 4. We have every quarter an evening meeting, which turned out to be a good one last time, and we'll see how it goes. Traditionally, evening meetings start out good, and then they end up with one person there generally. Almost every county that I've talked to has the same. People get home, they're tired, they don't, it's not their first choice to come sit and listen to us. I understand that. But I do think we need to at least go down that avenue and see how it works out. But it was very costly, but I think we're looking at ways so it won't be as costly, that the staff will not have to be here. Again, I'm always going to say, you got to get out and see Putnam County. It's still, it's amazing to me of all the things that go on in this county, even when it was below 70 degrees outside, and I still see people out there. They have jackets on, of course, but even while it's cold, people are out, they're enjoying the riverfront, they're really enjoying, you see them boating, it really is good to see. We live in a relatively active community, but you just got to go out and see it.
Thank you, Commissioner Goddard. Commissioner Harvey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that. I do want to make mention of some people, a gentleman that passed away, Pastor Dan Phillips, one of the best, I think, voices around, and Marine veteran, and we'll be missing Pastor Dan. I do want to talk about the county Medicare cost share. We sent a letter to our representatives asking them to look at that. It appears that they have looked at that, and it looks favorably that it's not going to cost the county a whole lot of money. There will be a little uptick, but not near the uptick that we were thinking of. So right now, that's going down the pike pretty good, and we look forward to a successful outcome of that. Do want to mention, I appreciate today's meeting, but as I just told Sarah, issues drive attendance and conversations. Issues are the thing. And I've sat here during budget meetings and seen one person in the audience when we pass a budget, that we should have everybody. This room should be as packed as we are when we pass a budget. And I appreciate the opportunity to have those issues that drives attendance. Also, we had a good census committee meeting last week, and we'll be having 2 in February, and make sure that Putnam County is counted correctly and every person is counted once. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Harvey. Commissioner Pickens?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Turner. First, I want to thank, it was a good meeting today, and appreciate everybody coming out to voice their opinion on the Second Amendment sanctuary. And I also want to thank you for getting with Julianne and staff, and it was a great report on the updates of the projects, and I think we need that, you know, probably every month or at least every other month, and I appreciate that. I also want to reach out and congratulate young Armand Kirkendall. He won the spelling bee for the elementary and middle school for the school district for the second year in a row. He was a young man that we had and acknowledged him last year. So he'll represent Putnam County at the regional spelling bee at Jacksonville University, February 27th. So we wish him well. So that's all I have.
That's good.
Thank you, Commissioner. I totally agree. I would like to ask the commissioners a question. Would you like the update to be the first of a workshop, or would you like the update to be at a regular board meeting like we did this morning? I kind of wanted it on TV. That way everybody could see it. You know, and then they could go to the website and ask questions or look at what she puts on there. And then if there's any questions, they can contact her or Public Works or whichever department it is that is in charge of that at the time. So I just felt it would be a little bit easier for us to, as Larry says, bring the planes in for a landing. If we knew
Yeah,
where
Mr.
they
Chairman,
were.
if nothing else, especially with this many people today, but there are a lot of people. I do look at some of these meetings, just try to treat myself when I was chairman. And an average of 50 to 60 people watch these meetings. And so if you get that information out, they can say, you know, wow, a lot of things are happening in Putnam County, you know, from the project play to the road projects, drainage projects, all of those things. So I think it's good to have it during the meeting.
Okay, if there's no further business to come before the board, this meeting's adjourned.
Mike Nimitz, don't run.